Isn't it remarkable what we have the opportunity to accomplish when we step outside of our comfort zone, right? Who we have the opportunity to meet, the impact we can make in somebody else's life, and the impact they can make in our lives. Most of you have read the book, and you remember this guy, Phil Coleman, that I met in the homeless shelter. Imagine if you were sitting in that homeless shelter. Here we are tonight, we're all looking good, smelling good, everything is great in our lives. Imagine if you're sitting in a homeless shelter and this homeless guy next to you gives you advice that changes the course of your life. He gives you this advice, right? Thursday night, you're eating spaghetti. And I'm not talking about, crack kills, don't drop the soap, right? I'm talking about solid, sage, legit advice that really changes the course of your life. I want to tell you tonight how I met that guy, which is the book most of y'all have read, and then what I've been doing since I finished the book. And I will open it up for questions. I've got some things I want to say, some stories to tell, and then I'll open up for questions. And I'm wide open to, any kind of discussion you all want to have. Don't be shy about any questions. A couple of years ago, I was at Coastal Carolina University, and it was the same thing, common read. All the students had read it. Big crowd, and they opened it up for questions. We had a microphone over here, microphone over here. This guy comes up, and he's so passionate. He says, I'm curious to know how your thoughts on capitalism have changed from the start of your book, until now. Just a really sophisticated, some words I didn't understand. And then this girl comes up over here, and she says, when you was in Charleston, did you get any? And I was so taken aback by that. I mean, I was like, anyway. I did not get any. I'll answer that question now. I did not get any. So you don't have to ask that question. But I am open to any question you all may want to ask. I mean, you may have loved this book, or you may be out there thinking, this young, healthy white boy, this is a bunch of bullshit, And if that's what you want to talk about, I'm wide open to that. This story started the summer after my freshman year of college. I went to Merrimack College in North Andover, Massachusetts, as Christiane said. I played basketball up there. And I'm from Raleigh, and I came home the summer after my freshman year, and I wanted to work, but I didn't want to get, like a regular 9 to 5 kind of job, waiting tables or whatever. Where are you from? From Fuquay. So you would pick tobacco. So I didn't want to get one of those. Regular kind of jobs. I kind of wanted to be more in control. And so what I did is I passed out these flyers all over the neighborhood. I said, I will do anything for $10 an hour. Doc Stevenson called. She says, listen, I've got 100 hours of work for you for the summer. And so every day I would go over there, and it was great. It was a great situation for me because I would go over there in the morning, 4 hours, prune her bushes, stain her deck, cut her grass, whatever she needed done. And in the afternoon, I would go play basketball. And at the end of the summer, she gave me a copy of Nickel and Dimed and my $1,000. And Nickel and Dimed, hey, show of hands, how many of you have read Nickel and Dimed? 1, 2. So less than half of you. Okay, so Nickel and Dimed is the story of Barbara Ehrenreich went to 3 cities with $1,000 and a car, and she wanted to show that you can't make it in America on a livable wage. She's going to start with $1,000, random city, with a car, and at the end of the month, poor me, I'm out of money, I can't make it. And so I read this book as soon as I got it in my hands. I read this book that night, totally engrossed in it. And I just decided this is disgusting. This is terrible. This is not the story of the American dream. And so the gears kind of started turning. What can I do? How can I make my own discovery of the American dream? But first, I finished my basketball career in college. I graduated. And you're going to see there are various ways that you can graduate. Magna cum laude, summa cum laude. My mom says I graduated, thank you, Lord. And so I graduated in 2006, and I went to play professional basketball because that's what I wanted to do. That was my dream, right, was to play professional basketball. And I didn't want to play in the NBA or the A or B league in Spain. I just wanted to play a little bit. And that's all I've ever wanted to do in my life. Elementary school, played middle school. Middle school, couldn't wait to play high school. High school, I couldn't wait to play college. And so here I am. I just wanted to go play professional basketball for a couple of years. And so I took off to Germany, where I played professional basketball in 2006. And my career lasted, it's kind of debatable at this point, my career lasted right at about 36 hours. And I'll tell you, thank you for the most devastating moment of my entire life. You're like, ah, loser. So what happened, I'll tell you what happened. I went over there to one of these combines. And so it was, there were 50 players, and we were playing games all day long in Cologne, Germany. And for 2 days, right? So Friday night we played some games, but it was really Saturday, Sunday, we're playing games. And there are managers and agents and coaches from all over Europe, right? And they're just watching us play, and they're just kind of afterwards, they're plucking guys out and saying, hey, I need a big man. People are signing contracts right then and there. And I went out and I shot 2 for 29 from the field, which is, if you don't know basketball, that's terrible. You make 2, miss 27, and that's terrible. But also, that's all we do, right? White people, that's all we do is shoot. I can't run, I can't jump. My game is very simple. Go in the corner, Whitey, and when we pass you the ball, you shoot it. And so I went out there and shot 2 for 29 from the field. And this was devastating for me because I am not going to make $10,000 a month. I want to make $500 a month. I will go hunting for my own food. If I play in Yugoslavia, they can change my name to Adam Shepard. I just want to play for 9 months, right? So I go over there, bam, failure. I heard no in 6 different languages. And this was devastating for me because I had packed my bags. I said bye to my parents, parties, see you later. I don't know if I'm going to stay for 2 years or 5 years. Tears are coming out of my eyes. I don't know when I'm seeing it. And so here I am home on Monday, right? And it's kind of, well, okay, what am I going to do now? And so what I want you, and then that's when I get into the story of Scratch Beginnings that we'll talk about now, but what I want you to take away from that story is this. There are 2 things that I can guarantee you, period. And tonight I'll talk about various different things, and, let's go get them and put me in, coach, I'm ready, and you got to believe, and all that stuff. But the 2 things that I absolutely guarantee you, number 1, and I mean it, if you request my friendship on Facebook, I'm going to creep on your photos. And I'm not telling you that, I'm going to creep on your photos, guaranteed, right? So I'm telling you all that. I'm still going to get 100 requests from you all, I promise you. But I'm telling you I'm going to creep on your photos. And number 2 is I guarantee that you are going to fail. Guaranteed. If there's one thing that I can promise you tonight, I guarantee you that you're going to fail. And I hope that you all understand that. Where's Julie? Julie wants probably a more positive message than that. So I am positive that you all are going to fail. All right? It is going to happen. And it's something that's very important for you all to understand because my life has been a series of just one failure after another. Bam, failure, failure, failure. And you keep pushing, you keep pressing, you're facing this adversity, life sucks, life's tough, you keep pushing, and then you have that one glimmer of success. And then you keep pushing, and there's another glimmer, and then you fail, 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 and you just keep pushing. That is the story of life. When I was 8 years old, my mom gave me a box of pencils and told me to go door to door. I had no overhead costs. I went to sell these pencils door to door for $0.25, 8 years old. And I was just, I was the cutest little kid. My head was the same size it is now, but I was a super cute kid, and I'm going up, and it's like, hey, you want to buy some pencils for $0.25? Didn't have any overhead costs. Free box of pencils. Failure. 12 years old. Going door to door, I was mowing lawns from ages 12 to 16. That was ultimately a failure. When I was 19 years old, I sold Boston Red Sox T-shirts on the streets of Boston, which you can't possibly, that's like selling Mickey Mouse ears in Disney World. You cannot possibly fail. Bam, failure. And so here I am in Germany, and I'm coming home, tears streaming down my face, and the question is, what are you going to do now? Because you can roll over and you can just do nothing. Or you can say, oh man, I got a C, I want to get a B. You can say, oh, I didn't get that sale. You can say, oh man, I didn't graduate, where I wanted to graduate. You tried hard, you pushed, you didn't succeed, and the question is, here it is, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what are you going to do now? So I had this idea for Scratch Beginnings that was, put in my desk and on the shelf and gone, until my basketball career is over in, 2 years or 5 years. And so here I was with this idea to write Scratch Beginnings, and there was really no better time for me to do it than right then, right? Because I was, I didn't have any money anyway. I didn't have any obligations. I didn't have, a great job. I didn't have any kids, that I know about. So it was a great opportunity for me to go out there and live this experience. For those of you that have no idea why you're here, just trying to keep cool, the story of Scratch Beginnings and the idea that I had was to start, as Christian said, with $25 and the clothes on my back in a random city to see if in 1 year I could have $2,500, a car, and a furnished apartment. Now, if we go up and down the aisles and we're talking about, hey, what is your idea of the American dream and your idea, we're all going to have a different idea maybe, right? But for me, it was to take a look at starting from the beginning, right? When our grandparents came over and, it was, however your family happened to arrive here, quite conceivably, they didn't have much, right? And so that's where I wanted to take it. I wanted to take it back to the beginning and see if this dream of the house and the white picket fence and the good job and the 2.3 kids, is that still a viable option, right? And so that's how I conceived this idea, starting from getting a copy of Nickel and Dimed to bam, here it is. This is the idea of the American dream for me. I started in Charleston, as you've read. And I had these 12 southeastern cities, all cities I'd never been to, mid-major cities, picked one. And it happened very quickly. It was a Monday that I'm home, Tuesday I picked, and then the next day I'm gone. I'm on the train. My brother dropped me off. He was super pumped because he got all of my clothes and my bed and everything. My parents, if the question is what do my parents think, they were excited for me. My mom was thrilled to get me off of her couch. They were excited, but they were also, kind of nervous. My dad didn't sleep the first night, but he also saw this as, because he had been in the Vietnam War. My brother was shortly on his way to Iraq, so he kind of saw this as, this is going to make a man out of you kind of thing, right? And so they were excited for me. My brother was excited. And so there I was in Charleston, off the train, ready to live this experience. Now, I have this picture of what I think Charleston is supposed to be, right? Charleston to me is Rhett Butler and Gone with the Wind, right? It's down at Marion Square, and you've got these lovely young ladies in bikinis, and they're throwing frisbees to each other. That's my vision of what Charleston looks like, right? And so for me to arrive 4 hours late, 5 hours late on the train, there I am in Charleston, North Charleston, heading down. How many of you all have been to Charleston? Right? So you know that there are two sides to Charleston, right? There's a nice downtown and let's overpriced dinners, and then there's the north side of town where you get off and it's a little shadier, and that's where I was. So immediately for me it was find shelter, find somewhere to go. I'm trotting down the street, and this lady of the night comes up to me. Lady of the night, everybody, lady of the night, yeah, the world's oldest profession. And this lady, she started the American franchise. Her social security number was 382, right? So this lady of the night comes up to me, and she is kind of asking me what I'm up to, where I'm going, and I said, I kind of explained to her what I was up to, and she said, well, you need to get to the shelter. And I didn't know, that didn't even cross my mind. For me, it was going to be 3 or 4 nights under the bridge, and then shower at the YMCA, find a job, bing, bam, boom, I'm good, and then I'll start making money. And so the idea of entering a shelter never crossed my mind, but because I was kind of in a dire situation as I saw it, I hopped on the bus, headed downtown, and entered the shelter. And this was never going to be, to me, a study of homelessness, but once I
stepped into the shelter and I meet these guys that are just, you're always going to have the lazy bums that are in the corner and they just don't care to help themselves. They're just mooching off the system. They're the dregs of society. But to meet the guys in that shelter that were really, almost just like me and very articulate and ambitious and getting up at 6 o'clock. I decided I've got to stay here for longer. I want to meet the Ricos, the Leos, the Easy E's, the BGs. I want to meet these guys. So I'm in the shelter. The one thing that I know for a fact is once I have a job, I am good. Because I'm not good at carpentry or construction or sewing, none of that. But once I have a job, I know how to budget my money. I know how to save my money. I know how to spend it wisely. Right? So once I have a job, I'm good. But I cannot go out there and apply for a job because I can't wait 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks for a paycheck. I need money now, right? I need to go out. I need to make money right now because I need, new shoes and pants and socks and underwear and shampoo. We were in the shelter. They have the 4. We're in the shower room and you got the 4 spigots. And I was in there the night 2, and there's another guy in there, and he was kind of checking me out, which was weird. And so, I'm showering and I'm washing my hair, and then finally he just looks at me and he says, you have got to be the only guy in the history of crisis ministries to use Garnier Fructis conditioner. And I thought, you might be right. But I'm a pretty boy, and we all have our little vices, and so there are things that I need right now, right? And so I go out and I do this day labor, day 1, and then day 2, and then day 3, and all along I'm kind of collecting these little $20, $25, $30, $40 paychecks for working for a day. And all the while, at the end of the day, I'm going and I'm applying for jobs at hotels and KFC and grocery stores. I just want to get a job, any job. Day 5, day 6, day 7. And so then I get to day 10 and I'm a little frustrated because here I am and I have this opportunity to really go out and live the American dream. Ambition, persistence, budgeting your money. This is what the American dream is. You can go out, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you're doing, you can go out there and do it. And here I am 10 days in and I'm frustrated, right? Does anybody have a copy of the book? Anybody? Yeah? You want me to reach out there and grab it from you? And No, she already got up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Wow. This is crazy. Seriously, this is. I want to take you. You live here in Raleigh, because I live in Raleigh too. So I want to take you out to lunch for this. This is great. Seriously, this is fantastic. Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you very much for taking all these notes. I'm going to go to Chipotle or something. Don't think we're going to it's like, we're going to Ruth's Chris. No, we're not going to Ruth's Chris. So I want to read an excerpt from the book. And this is, there are various touching parts of this book to me and this experience. And for me, the turning point was meeting Phil Coleman, right? So to set it up, here I am, day 10. I don't have a job, and I've applied at all these different places, and I'm frustrated. And I'm wondering, why can I not get a job? What is going on here? And so I'm complaining to these guys at the shelter, and I'm saying, hey, what is the deal? And Phil Coleman chimes in. And the one thing you never have to wonder at a homeless shelter is, what is a homeless guy thinking? Because he doesn't care. He might have showered last Tuesday, maybe this morning. He doesn't care. It's very organic. He doesn't care what you think about him or his thoughts. So you are going to get him and his thoughts, right? So here I am complaining. I'm going to get his thoughts. We had just some fantastic discussions. We're talking about the intricacies of the war in Iraq 1 minute, and then we're talking, who's hotter, Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan? Right? Before the Coke. And so I'm saying to Phil Coleman, what is going on here? Why can I not get this job? And so he chimed in, and this is what he said. Over lunch, I'd called the office at the moving company again, but Curtis wasn't in. They gave me his cell phone number, but he didn't pick up my call, nor did he return my call back to the shelter's number that I had left on his voicemail. I was getting the runaround, and there was nothing I could do until I spoke with Phil Coleman on Thursday night over a dinner of spaghetti, yet again, at the shelter. He had, just as he had promised, landed a job as a landscaper at the Medical University of South Carolina. I congratulated him and told him it was looking like the car wash was going to be my only option. Shoot, who told you about the car wash? Spike? Shoot, that dude is the best car wash you're ever going to meet. He done washed every car in the Tri-County area. He's a car washing legend. Made good money, too, and then he spent all that money on dope, and look where that got him. In the bum house, that's where. I told him it was looking like the car wash was going to be my only option. I'd filled out 10 applications and a profile online, and I wasn't getting any response. So hold up a second, let me get this straight, he said. You mean to tell me that you live at the homeless shelter, and you have put out over 10 applications, and you still don't have a job? What the hell is that all about? Imagine that. That is just craziness, kid. He was not hiding the sarcasm in his voice. Man, y'all some dumb mothers. He began to address the table as a whole, anyone who would listen. I mean straight dummies. How do you think this works? Employers call the number you put on that application, and when Harold answers Crisis Ministries, they just get real excited that they get to hire a homeless dude? Shoot, man, y'all some dumb mothers. Choosing that guy to relay my employment woes to was looking like a big mistake. But then his tone started to perk up. Listen, y'all mothers got to change your whole way of thinking. This ain't no game shit. This is real life. You got to go down to these managers and be like, look here, homeboy, you need me. I'm the best worker you're going to find, so hire me or not. And if it don't work, hell, it don't work. You got like a million other places to go and give the same speech to. Shoot, man, it ain't no rocket science. You just got to go do it. Do y'all really think they're going to call here and hire a homeless dude? I ain't never heard nothing like that. He started to mumble to himself. Y'all some dumb mothers. Think about this, right? I am Adam Shepard. I am the king of the American dream, right? And here I am in Charleston, and I'm going to show that you can do it on $25 and ambition and persistence and budgeting your money, and you can do it, and Oprah's going to want to have my babies, right? And here, whoa, watch your step. Here I am in Charleston. And I have this opportunity to show all this, and I'm complaining to a homeless guy about, oh man, why can I not get a job? And he is giving me, Adam Shepard, if he crosses the street and asks me for $1, I'm going to kick him in the shin and I'm going to start running. He's a homeless dude. I'm not worried about him, right? But here he is giving me advice that changes the course of my journey. I go to the moving company the next day, and I stood there, I waited for an hour, and then I'm standing, and Curtis is sitting down, and I'm standing up, and, like you read in the book, I got the Daisy Duke shorts on, and the hair, and the socks, and I looked completely goofy, but I said to him exactly what Phil Coleman told me to say. I said, Kurt, listen, my name is Adam Shepard, and I am the greatest mover in all of Raleigh. Charleston. I'm excited to be in Raleigh. And I am going to work for you. I don't care what you say, it is going to happen. And he kind of tried to chime in, and he's saying, oh, well, I've got a full staff, and I appreciate it. I said, no, listen, let me come and let me work one day for you for free, right? You don't have any obligation. If you like me, keep me. If you don't, you don't. And right then and there, he liked my attitude. He hired me on the spot. Now, you have to understand that I'm standing across from him and telling him what a fantastic mover I am. But his entire staff are these big, hulky, ex-athletes. Like, oh man, what's happening with you? They got these big necks. And I'm standing in front of him, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Adam Shepard. I'm the greatest mover in all of Charleston. I mean, he knows that I am not the greatest mover in all of Charleston. But he liked my attitude. He hired me on the spot. I told you that story, which you all have read, to tell you this story. About my social life while I was down in Charleston, because that's often a question that comes up because, I got the economics all down pat, work hard, you can do it. But my social life started to suffer, right? And so, after 1 month or 2 months, it's cool, but I'm on my way to work after 6 months. And 6 months, you know what I'm talking about? Like, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, it's crazy. And so I'm on my way to work, and I really haven't talked to a member of
the opposite gender in that kind of way in 6 months. And because I know, like I said, I've got to save my money. So if I go out to eat, if I'm taking girls on dates, if I'm going down to the club, making it rain, or whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing, you're laughing, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing out here. This is one for the fellas. Let me show you this. I just invented this, no lie, this afternoon when I was practicing that dance. I invented this dance, and you can use this because I'm giving you permission to do so. It's right like this, right? And you'll be up in the club doing this and be like, is that dude, is he speed walking? Nope, I am dancing. And then what you do after that is you add a little fried egg to it, so you got the speed walking, and then, right? So clearly, if I continue to do that, I'm never going to have children. So I have to figure out a way to meet women. And so I'm on my way to work after 6 months. How about that? Your own mom walks out of your speech. How about that? Okay. Thanks for coming, Ma. See ya. So I'm on my way to work after 6 months, and you remember that I'm driving this beat-up pickup truck, right? And I mean, it starts with a screwdriver. How many people have ever had a car or a truck that starts with a screwdriver? Raise your hands. Don't be shy. That's what I'm talking about. I love it. You know somebody. That doesn't count. But hey, everybody that's raising your hand, I mean, you know what it feels like to drive, because it is the ultimate test of adversity. Because now in my life, I have a car that is better than the pickup truck, and anytime that I have a bad day, like I'll go and I'll play ball or tennis or whatever, and my ankles hurt and my back, and I'll just get in my car, and it's just like, it starts with a key. You know what I mean? It starts with a key. So for those of you that have not had a car that starts with a screwdriver, I do wish that upon you. So I'm on my way to work, and I get a call from, and I don't have a radio in this truck, but I get a call from one of the receptionists, Amy, at work. And she says, Adam, listen, you have got to call in to this radio station. They are auctioning off one of the DJs for a Valentine's Day. You can call in and you can win the date. And I thought, nah, that's not really my style, to call in on an auction and win girls off the radio, but I thank you for calling. I do appreciate it. And she said, no, Adam, listen, we know that it's been a while. We're getting a little nervous about you. Just give it a shot. Just call in and see what happens. And so I thought about it, and then I thought I had nothing to lose. I'll go ahead and call in. And so I call in. I have no idea. I don't have a radio, so I have no idea who this girl is, this DJ. I don't know anything. But I called in, and straight from Phil Coleman, just like I got the job at the moving company, I said, my name is Adam Shepard, and I am going to go out with Brooke Ryan on Valentine's Day. And if I don't get a date with her on Valentine's Day, I'm going to go out with her on the 15th or the 16th or the 17th. I don't care. I am going to go out with Brooke Ryan. And I said, okay, calm down there, cowboy. Let's ask you a few questions. And so they asked me, kind of the generic. They were taking 10 or 12 calls. And they asked me kind of these generic questions, where are you from? What do you do? What's your favorite color? Who do you look like? Those kind of things. And so I'm answering these questions. And at the end, they narrowed it from 10 or 12 down to 2. And you have to understand, at the moving company, this is super, super exciting. We have the table is set up there in the corner, right? And we have the radio on top, and we're all tuned in. I mean, there are 15 of us movers right around. I mean, because like Adam has a chance to win a date. This is crazy. And so we're listening to see who is going to get the date. They've narrowed it down to 2 people. They narrowed it down to me and a Marine. Exactly. I'm like, that's not fair, right? I mean, they've narrowed it down to me. I mean, we are in the heart of the war in Iraq. I want this guy to win the date. I mean, I want him to go out. I want to go on the date with the guy, right? And so we're narrowed down to the 2 of us, and they took one more call, and it was this lady that I had moved.
And she recognized, Adam the mover, and so she called, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I just want to tell you that Adam is the sweetest little boy. He got them cute little ears." I mean, for 30 seconds, she's just amping me up. This was pure gold. She's saying, you need to pick Adam. And that was it. So I win the date. Bam! I'm good. And so we got the date scheduled, and I did what I assume every guy does, and you know what I'm saying, like you do before you're going out, you do the 20 push-ups, so we got the shirt from the Baby Gap on, so you're looking, right? And so they go on this date, had a fantastic time, and she's got caller ID, and she didn't call back, which is fine because that happens, and sometimes they just don't call back, right? Or answer your texts or emails or Facebook messages. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that I got that date because I called in and I said, I am going to go out with Brooke Ryan. You don't call in and say, "Oh, hey, this is Adam." You know what I'm saying? If nobody else is taking the day, I'll take the day. No, you call in and you say, "My name is Adam Shepard." You're going to want to use your own name. "And I am going to go out with Brooke Ryan." You have to go for it. It's either 0%, don't call, or it's 100%. There's no 65%. You don't just wake up in the morning and say, "Oh man, I'll tell you what, today is a 65% day. Let's go get them." No, you wake up in the morning, it is 0% or 100%. And this goes, I'm telling you this story about my social life, but this goes for everything. Getting a job, doing sales, and right now, going to school. I mean, you have 4 years in front of you. How exciting is that, right? I hope you understand how exciting this is. You had these 4 years in front of you. I was having dinner with a number of you guys, and many of you are the only or one of 2 or maybe 3 people from your high school, so you don't really have ties to your high school, right? I mean, you have this brand new, awesome opportunity at Peace University. You have 4 years. You can either kind of half-ass your way through, because listen, you're going to graduate. You go to any college in America, they want you to graduate. You're going to graduate. You can get C's all the way through, maybe volunteer for a couple hours here and there. You're going to graduate. That is not a problem. If you put in a moderate level of effort, you're going to graduate. But imagine if you attack every day school, volunteerism, community projects, sports, honor society, whatever it is that you're involved in. Imagine if you attacked every day with that 100% attitude. And don't pick 7 things. Don't pick 8 things. Don't pick 10 or 12 things. Pick 2 or 3 things that are very important for you, right? Because you can't manage 7 or 8 or 10 things. I mean, you just can't do it. Pick those 2 or 3 things that are absolutely important to you, and you go 100%, or don't go at all. Because, listen, my life has been a series of failure after another, and then you have these successes in there, and I can pinpoint those successes are because I attacked it 100%. Please hold your applause for the end. I'll tell you a few more things about the experience after Scratch Beginnings, because you've all read the book, you know that I succeed and I make it in $2,500, but that was never the story. The story was never, is he going to make it at the end? Oh my gosh, I'm not sure. The story is the journey. The story is waking up every day and you have the decision to make. You can eat pancakes all day long, or you can go out and make stuff happen with your life, right? And so that was what it was for me. If I get to the end and if I fail, then I fail, right? I've put everything into it. It's about the journey for me. And so I get to the end. I've made it. It's fantastic. I've met these wonderful, wonderful people. BG, Derek, Leo, Easy E, Rico, Marco. I sat Marco down. As I'm leaving, I'm coming home at the end, and I sat Marco down. We went to, because I wanted to tell these guys who I was, right? Because everybody that I'm meeting along the way, I've got this fabricated story of my alcoholic father and my druggy mom, and I'm telling this story. And every time I tell this story, I'm making up new characters and a PowerPoint presentation. It's fantastic. And these guys, especially in the shelter, are listening to what I have to say, and they're saying, "Dude, listen, cool story, but my mom's on crack and I got stabbed last Tuesday, so let me tell you a story." And so I'm able to kind of take all this in and learn what the American dream really looks like. But at the end, I wanted to sit down a couple of guys that I really got to know, and I want to tell them, who I really was and what I was really up to with this story and this book that I would love to write. And so I sat Marco down at Bojangles, and we went to Bojangles down in Charleston. I bought him dinner. Oh my goodness. Bojangles, lots of Bojangles. We are going to have a moment of silence for Bojangles. Chicken and biscuits. So I'm sitting there with him, and I'm telling him, hey, Marco, just so you know, I'm not really who you think I am. I got a little bit of an interesting story to tell you. And he thought, he had exchanged some pretty intimate information with me about drugs and his father, just stuff that I don't write about in the book. So he thought that I was the FBI and the SWAT team was going to come out of the rafters and arrest him. And I said, no, listen, I've got this story that I've been living and $25. And I told him all about it. And he just said, oh, okay, whatever. And he just kept eating his dirty rice. And I thought, first of all, it was kind of a hit to my ego because I thought this is fantastic. This is great. This is a cool story that I have just finished living. I'm leaving Charleston tomorrow. I'm heading back home. But then when I was heading home, because I got the same reaction from Derek and BG when I told them what I was really up to. And as I was driving home, I thought, really, what I've done is not that impressive. It's cool that I had a different life that I could be living, and I went out for a year to see what the other side is living like, and a homeless shelter, and I didn't have to be there. It's cool that I had that experience, but really, the story that I've lived is the story of an American dream that has been lived so many million times over, right? And so what I've done is not nearly as impressive as what Derek and BG are fighting through, and what Marco's done, and Rico, and Leo, and Eazy-E, and all these guys that I met. They are the real story of the American dream, and I think that really did not hit me hard until the end, until I was heading home. I come home, and I'll tell you a couple things about the publication of the book, and then I can open it up for questions. Because I came home, and I decided, so I wrote this book, and I had the manuscript, and I decided to self-publish this book for a variety of reasons, but I didn't want to just go to an agent and publisher and just, here, buy my book and do something. I didn't want to just give it to a publicist and say, here, go take care of this. I wanted to kind of have full control. But also, the main reason that I decided to self-publish is because when you self-publish a book, you get the copies for very inexpensive. You are in control. You're the publisher, the editor, the cover designer. You are everybody. And so I was able to get the books for 93 cents a piece. I bought 10,000 copies of the book. And I was able to get those for 93 cents a piece, and in turn, what I was able to do is sell some copies, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I was able to sell some, but I was also, over the course of the book's self-publication, give away 8,000 copies of the book. And this is what I want you to understand from that you have an opportunity, and maybe it's writing a book or an album or maybe it is 1 to 2 hours a week that you're volunteering at the Wake County Men's Shelter or picking up trash or getting a mentor. You have a mentor or a mentee, and you can for an hour a week help them with math. Whatever it is, you have the opportunity to make an impact in someone's life, right? And so I saw this as an opportunity for me to do that because to sell this book to the masses was my dream, and that's great. But I want to be able to reach the prisons and the homeless shelters and the underprivileged high schools who don't have the budget to just buy books. So I was able to give 8,000 copies away to those places. And that was very important to me. But I also wanted to sell the book. And so after, like I said before, Oprah's going to love this shit. And after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, I had sold 8 copies, right? My mom bought 2, my dad bought 3, Surrey bought 4 or 5. So I've got 9,992 books that are, it was literally in my room like a wall of books, right? And I've got to figure out how to get rid of these books because Oprah's producers are not calling me back, Ellen, all the way down. So I got a list of the top 100 newspapers in the country. And I started at number 100, and I went to the website, and every night I would pick out 2, 3, 4, 5 newspapers, and I would email 40 editors, journalists, whoever's email, webmaster, whoever's email address I could get from the website. And I would email them. I'd say, Dear Ryan, Dear Sally, Dear Susie, Dear Billy. And I had this kind of paragraph message that I copy and pasted, and I told them what I was doing. Here's my website. And so I sent all of these thousands of emails. I started at number 100 was the Albuquerque Journal. This is back when newspapers were still relevant. I started at number 100, and I worked my way up, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, and I got rejected all the way up, right? And it wasn't because, some people sent me back, hey, you're an idiot, but it was also, down in Houston, they're not going to write about me in Raleigh, right? I mean, it just wasn't a connection they were making. They weren't really doing a whole lot of book reviews, especially for a self-published author. 92, 91, 90. I worked my way up, all number 50. I'm not getting any positive responses. I got to number 11, was the New York Post. And I emailed 40 people at the New York Post, and I got an email back from Andrea Pizer, who at the time was the columnist of the year that year. And she said, hey, this is great. I'd love to write about your story. This is fantastic. And so she called me. She interviewed me right away. Now, at the time, when I came back to Raleigh, I was working as a sky cap at the airport. Everybody knows what a sky cap is. You can check your bags inside at the airport, or you can check them outside. You're guys like me that come and it's like, hey, we can check your bags, and then you give us a tip. And we also push these sweet little old ladies from the curb. We get them and put them in the wheelchair and take them all the way through and up to gate 26 to Denver, right? So that's what I was doing at the time. And so I did the interview with the New York Post. The story ran on Monday. And let me tell you that it was crazy, right? So I've had 2-3 months, pushing 4 months of just selling books out of the trunk of my car to family and friends and whoever I come across. And then Monday, all of a sudden, I'm getting calls from the Today Show, CNN, Fox News, 2020, NPR, all these people that read the New York Post. And I'm getting calls from these producers. And it was crazy because I was working at the airport, right? So I'm up at the airport, and I'm getting a call from Lindsay Sobel who called me from the Today Show. And, she says, hey, Adam, it's Lindsay, from Today Show. I love your story. We'd love for you to come in tomorrow, if you get on a plane. And it was crazy because I'm taking these calls from all these big-time producers on these big-time shows. And Gertrude doesn't give a shit about the Today Show. She's like, hey, get out to gate number 26. And so I have the Today Show on the phone, and I've got to say, hey, listen, let me call you back because Gertrude's got to get up to gate 26. But that's what happened, right? That's how it all happened from start to finish. And you have those, you have those rejections. You have those people that are saying no, no, no. And if you believe in what you're doing, if you believe that you have the impact, the opportunity to make an impact, you do it. You go out there and do it, or you don't, right? Because there are some of you who will go out there and go 100%. And then there are some of you who will not. And the ones who go out and go 100% will win. The last thing I'll tell you is after I got some media attentions forthcoming, I decided that I'd like to have my book published. And so I queried 70 agents. But my query at this time is not, hey, I'm Adam Shepard, I wrote this book, Rebuttal to Nickel and Dime, blah, blah, blah. Now it is, hey, I'm Adam Shepard, I'm going on CNN, Today Show, Fox News, NPR, I'm going on these places. This book's going to be big, it's going to be fantastic. And I got 70 rejections from these 70 agents. And so 2 weeks before I was slated to go on the Today Show, because I pushed all the media off for 2 months because I wanted to have this one bunch, because you can't just go on the Today Show and then 2 months later CNN. I mean, you have this moment when you are hot, right? It's 1 week, maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days, but it is 1 week that you are hot and everybody is talking about you, and then bam, you're a motivational speaker. And so I pushed all of this for 2 months later. 2 weeks before I'm going on the Today Show and CNN and all these places, I was up in Boston having lunch with some friends and some from college. And I had plenty of books in the trunk, and so I was kind of giving them all a copy. And one of Dave's friends, Steve, a golfing buddy of his, was there. And he said, oh my gosh, this is pretty cool, I'm gonna read it. He read it that night and passed it to his neighbor Ted, who passed it to Shelley, who's a music agent in New York. And Shelley passed it to Dan Strone, who is a literary agent. And Dan called me, within a week, he called me and he said, hey, when you come to New York, I would love to meet with you. And I said, cool, fantastic, I'll meet with you when I come up there. And I looked him up in the meantime, and he's got all of these famous clients, right? He's got, Tori Spelling, Whoopi Goldberg, both of the Seinfelds. He's got this laundry list of celebrity clients. And he's calling to talk to me. There was a picture, if you Google his name, the first picture that comes up is a picture of him and Paris Hilton. And under it, it says Dan Strone and client. And I'm like, who is this dude, Dan Strone and client, standing here with Paris Hilton? So I said, this is potentially big time. Get up there to New York, I go on the Today Show, and everything is just going well, and I'm feeling good. And in the afternoon, I took a taxi down to Madison Ave, and went up to the 42nd floor in Dan's office. And this is a different level than anything I've ever experienced, right? I mean, it's just not. I mean, my car cost $400 at that time, and I'm back living at home with my mom, and everything is, you know, I am not the Seinfelds, but here I am on the 42nd floor with the plush sofas, and here is Dan Strone, and he's saying, hey, you know, I read your book. You know, it's good. I really like to represent it. I think I can do some things. I've got a lot of ins in the publishing world. And I did what you always have to do in this scenario, right? I put on, you know, I'm kind of sitting there, and he's on his sofa, and I'm on my, you know, love seat, and I got my feet crossed, and, you know, I just put on this World Series of poker face, and I just said, okay, you know, I hear what you're saying, you know, tell me more. And he says, well, these are the things that I can do for you. And I said, yeah, you know, I'm talking to a number of different people right now. You know, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to have to think. There are no other people. Really, I want to jump on this dude and make out with him, right? I mean, there are no other people. But I couldn't just say, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I would love for you to represent me, because you have to kind of put on this aura of being big time. And so he said, cool, you know, take your time. I mean, I truly believe I'm the best person for you. And so I took the elevator back down, went out on the street, made out with somebody, called my pops, and I said, hey, you know, I've got an agent now. This is great. And so we signed the deal, and now he sold the book to HarperCollins. He optioned the movie rights. He sold the book in Chinese. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how you go from struggling to sell 9, 10, 11 copies, and now the book, and we got nothing for the Chinese rights. It was like $50 and a plate of Kung Pao chicken, but we sold the rights in China. I don't know if it's good, but we sold the rights in Chinese. So I just think it's very telling. Before I open up for questions, I think it's very telling that you don't know what is going to happen. I mean, you are a failure, and you are struggling, and you are facing adversity one day, but if you love what you're doing, if you keep pushing forward, you have those little victories along the way. You make a little difference in somebody's life along the way, like the bus driver did, right? And then they turn into bigger victories, and then another failure, and then they turn into another small victory, and then you have bigger successes in your life.